Thank you so much, Emer, and thank you all. It's amazing to be here to open the 2025 EPA Water Conference, and it's great to be here in Galway as well. I heard there was efforts previously to try and get it moved down to Cork. That failed, but Matthew, we'll work on that next year, okay? No, I'm only messing. I know the Galway event, the Galway location is very close to your hearts, and it's brilliant to be here, and with all the stakeholders as well. That there's such a broad variety of stakeholders that are involved in water and water quality and biodiversity and nature and water, and it's great to be here amongst you all today, and especially the scientists. And I want to pay a specific tribute to the scientists, because I certainly come at water very much from a biodiversity and nature point of view, and trying to I suppose, protect and enhance the biodiversity and nature within our water courses. And we're very much led by the scientists and the ecologists who give us advice on that. So I want to pay particular tribute to the scientists. Water is our most important natural resource. It is essential to life. It is crucial for growing crops and raising livestock, which are essential for food production. Healthy ecosystems depend on clean water for plants and animals. In so many ways, water is central to our economy and our way of life. Managed effectively, water plays a key role in strengthening the resilience of our social, economic, and environmental systems. But all of you here, you already know that. You will also know that the European Union has a Water Framework Directive in place since 2000 to deliver SDG 6. But significant improvements in water quality have not been delivered at the pace needed, despite best efforts, and so the focus in Ireland and the wider European Union must now shift to accelerating the implementation of these actions. That said, I was delighted to read recently that the 2024 EPA Bathing Water Quality, which was released a few weeks ago, had the highest ever number of excellent bathing water quality systems. And we're here close to Salt Hill, which is one of those designated as excellent, and it was heartening yesterday to see the usage that Salt Hill is getting. There was hundreds diving off the diving platform just up the road here, and that's one of the many benefits that excellent bathing water quality brings. We also had a record number of blue flag status beaches awarded, which is encouraging. Many of those in West Cork, by the way, I just have to give an ad. So this is, of course, testament to the hard work and dedication of the numerous local authorities, groups and volunteers from across the country, and demonstrates that progress is possible when there is a collaborative effort. I'll come back to that collaboration in a minute. While this is welcome news, we as a nation are facing many issues, such as the resilience of our water supplies, the loss of pristine water bodies, the restoring of the natural functions of our rivers for biodiversity and flood protection. It is imperative that we focus on meeting these challenges as a society, but put this country on a more sustainable environmental pathway. We have made very good progress in the last number of years. Governance has been strengthened, delivery programs have been put in place, and measures will be targeted locally to deliver positive environmental outcomes. However, in reality, we still have some distance to travel. Over the next 2 days, you will hear from numerous speakers who will outline the challenges we are facing, but also the good work that has been done to undertaken to remedy these challenges. At present, as Emer said, 54% of surface waters in Ireland are in good or high ecological status, as per the EPA's last full monitoring report, covering the period from 2016 to 2021. However, overall, it has been clear for some time now that Europe will not achieve its desired objectives regarding its water quality within the timelines provided for the Water Framework Directive. 2027, as the target date set down for the restoration of waters to good status, seemed, I'm sure, a realistic objective when the directive was adopted back in the year 2000. With 2027 now just around the corner, we need more time, and this was again reflected in practically all member states that were represented at the European Water Directors meeting in Warsaw at the end of May. It is also noteworthy that Ireland is above average in terms of compliance compared to the rest of Europe. As I mentioned, Irish surface waters are at 54% compliance compared to the EU average of 39%. However, all member states remain committed to achieving the objective of the Water Framework Directive, even if this takes additional time. Our attention and efforts must remain focused on making significant progress in the months and in the years ahead. The continued high level of environmental ambition across Europe was seen last week in the adoption of the EU Commission of the European Water Resilience Strategy. The strategy recognises the complexities of managing water sustainably and is intended to ensure that Europe becomes a sustainable, resilient, smart and competitive water economy while restoring and protecting the water cycle. In the area of water services, the government will continue the commitment to invest in our water and wastewater network. For 2025 alone, funding of €2.2 billion is being made available to Uisce Éireann, a significant increase on 2024, when funding of €1.8 million was secured to support water services, of which €1.66 billion was provided to Uisce Éireann. It is also twice the funding provided 10 years ago, demonstrating the government's continued commitment to improving our water services infrastructure. The Uisce Éireann Strategic Funding Plan commits to over €10.3 billion in capital investment for the period 2025 to 2029, of which over €9.8 billion will be state funded. This funding will enable the modernisation and upgrading of some of the existing water and wastewater infrastructure and for new connections for approximately 35,000 new homes per annum to the water and wastewater network out to 2029. The funding to be made available to Uisce Éireann is also being considered in the current review of the National Development Plan, particularly with regard to any additional funding that may be necessary to support the government's increased housing targets. So investment in wastewater is key, and I think it's particularly key if we're to bring all stakeholders with us in terms of improving water quality and improving outcomes. If the state is getting it wrong, if the state is polluting, then it's much harder for us to bring all aspects of society with us in terms of improving water quality. A new revised and strengthened Water Action Plan was launched toward the end of 2024, building on the work of previous cycles, and by incorporating the integrated catchment management approach, the Water Action Plan sets out the environmental objectives and measures for water quality and lays out the roadmap through which we will endeavour to restore and protect our water bodies. One of the plan's key principles is to deliver integrated multiple policy objectives for water, biodiversity and climate wherever possible. This integrated approach will deliver gains for our water quality. The identification and implementation of the right measure in the right place is the key driver behind the plan, and you will shortly hear more on the progress with its implementation. I'm also impressed by the level of community engagement in the catchment management led by LawPro. We will hear more about this from Margaret Keegan in her presentation later, and I'll touch on it in the end as well because I really see it as a key aspect of improving water quality. I'm limited in my time as the clock is counting down here. Hopefully you won't be too strict with me, guys. But I wish to briefly talk about several key commitments that were introduced in the Water Action Plan covering the third cycle of the River Basin Planning for Ireland up to 2027 that will be instrumental in making progress, which a lot of these actions came about from consultation with on Fórum Uisce, which I met prior to this. These include the area of agriculture, water protection practices, improvements to the physical condition of rivers, and the new Climate and Nature Fund, which will support these new actions. With regards to agriculture, it has been identified as one of the most significant pressures affecting water quality in Ireland. Addressing this will bring benefits to the quality of our waters, biodiversity, and to climate change adaptation. And the agricultural sector will also benefit by becoming more resilient. The approach to addressing agricultural pressures is to balance enhanced inspection and enforcement alongside the implementation of additional targeted support measures, education and knowledge. Habitats like Ladies Island near Rosslare, which is suffering a collapse in biodiversity, need urgent action through, for example, the Local Authority Waters Programme, LawPro, and the Agricultural Sustainable Support and Advisory Programme, ASAP. Activity in priority areas for action and the Farming for Water European Innovation Partnership. The cornerstone measure for addressing the pressures on water quality for agriculture remains the Nitrates Action Programme. This is developed in close collaboration with the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine. Additional measures as part of the interim review of the 5th Nitrates Action Plan were introduced in February, and officials from my department are currently preparing the 6th Nitrates Programme, which will need to be in place from January 2026. There is a lot of focus on the retention of Ireland's nitrates derogation, and the newly formed Cabinet Committee on Water Quality is specifically focused on this issue. This is underpinned by an unprecedented level of cooperation across government, state agencies, and the agricultural sector in general. And I want to focus just for a second on that point about cooperation, because it is government policy to make an application to retain derogation. And I know that doesn't get widespread support. But if we're to make it work, cooperation is key. And I've seen it in other aspects of nature conservation, some of the LIFE projects, and I consistently reference Corncrake Life, where we're seeing a significant bounce back in Cork numbers because of key cooperation between state agencies and farmers. And I think the same can happen in relation to water quality with farming. And Emer's mum is from Timoleague, so I had to mention Timoleague, not just because your mum was from there, but obviously the Timoleague catchment area would be very familiar with a lot of people in this room, and the work that they're doing there. And this is where you have a group of farmers who are really focused on water quality management and putting in place measures that improve water quality. So with that cooperation, I think we can see improvements in that regard. So we must do both. We must protect agriculture, but also see those improvements in water quality. Recognising that regulation alone will not deliver in full in relation to agricultural pressures on water, another significant agricultural measure was launched in March 2024. It is the Farming for Water European Initiative Partnership Project, and this is going to be another key way in terms of improving outcomes. In terms of the physical health of natural water bodies, a new national hydromorphology programme has been established with the long-term vision of mitigating the negative impact of past construction on rivers to restore their flow, form and function. The programme is supported by a hydromorphology expert group which includes representation from all key stakeholders. And I'm excited to see the results of this and the benefits that will place to our water bodies. And then there's the heavily modified water bodies, which I know is a key issue that people are looking for updates on. And you may be aware that a recent public consultation was undertaken by the Department in relation to proposed heavily modified water bodies designations. These have had their physical characteristics, such as flow, form and function, altered in the past to serve various beneficial specified use, such as impoundments to river to create a reservoir for the provision of drinking water. These are a different type of water body which require careful management to ensure they are sustainable. And there is a consultative process that's underway at the moment, and all submissions are being assessed, but we're just looking for a bit more time to ensure that we get the right results in terms of the designation. And then there's the Climate and Nature Fund, and this is the final government commitment, which is a €3.5 billion fund to address these issues, which includes water quality. So I just want to come back to the issue of the community aspect of water quality, and I'll finish on this because that clock has been flashing at me for the last 2 minutes, so apologies for going over time. But I think there's real key, I suppose, improvements and gains that can be made when we involve a community. Because I think for too long, particularly when it comes to river and river courses, rivers, they were such an important part of society. They were such an important part of our economy. Towns and villages and settlements were built on rivers for a reason. And that's where milling took place. That's where people were able to earn an income from because they were located on rivers. But over time, I think we've lost that connection. And now rivers, for many of us, have become something that we drive over when we drive over a bridge. And we might give it the odd cursory look. Our rivers have become something that threaten us with floods when we have severe flooding events. And there becomes this kind of negative connotation. But what community groups are doing right across Ireland at the moment, through the incredible work, I must say, of LawPro, is that they're reconnecting. And they're making us all reconnect with rivers. They're reconnecting with the heritage, with the importance to the communities, with the biodiversity, with the incredible bird life and fish life that call rivers home. And that is an absolute key aspect in terms of getting buy-in from the nation, in terms of, it's not, drinking water isn't just the only important aspect. It's the importance from a biodiversity and nature point of view. And I want to commend some local groups in the River Bandon, for example, Ballyneen and the Skeen Tidy Towns. They would have put this as a key focus. And you're seeing buy-in from people right along the length and breadth now of the River Bandon in terms of the importance of that river. Streamscapes are doing incredible work. I'm not sure if they're represented here today, but they were part of that project. They were also part of a project in the Cumhola River, which they've, through their community initiatives, have managed to achieve pristine water quality. So I just wanted to end on that because there's plenty of concerning aspects in terms of where we are from a nature, biodiversity and drinking water point of view, but there's positive work being done there as well, and I think we need to harness that. So I want to thank the EPA again. Thanks for the work you do in terms of providing that scientific advice. It's important, and it's really important in leading the way. And thank you for your attention. Apologies I went over time, but I appreciate it. Thank you.